Good morning, champion. Before the world speaks to you, you need to speak to you. The most powerful voice in your life isn't mine. It's not your mentor's. It's yours. And the first thing you must do every single day is take authority over your thoughts, your mindset, and your mission. So here are 12 things you must tell yourself every morning if you're serious about stepping into purpose, prosperity, and power. I was created for greatness. Those 5 words are not a motivational slogan. They are a declaration of identity. Greatness isn't something reserved for a chosen few. It's a calling embedded in the very fabric of your being. You didn't arrive on this planet by accident. You were divinely designed, intentionally positioned, and powerfully equipped to impact the world in a way no one else can. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. When you truly understand this, you stop asking for permission to be great and start walking in it. The problem is most people never claim their greatness because they're too distracted by their limitations. They rehearse their flaws, their failures, their shortcomings, as if that's their true identity. But hear this, what you've done is not who you are. You are not your doubts. You are not your bank account. You are not your mistakes. You are not the things people said about you when they didn't understand you. You are greatness wrapped in human form. And until you believe that, you'll keep living far beneath your potential. Okay. Greatness doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you always get it right. It means you've been placed on this earth with a mission, and you refuse to quit until that mission is fulfilled. Every single person has been given a measure of greatness. Some recognize it early. Some don't recognize it until they're broken, buried in pressure, or walking through the fire. But it's there. It's in you. It's not something you have to find. It's something you must uncover. You uncover it when you take responsibility for your life. You uncover it when you stop waiting to feel ready and start moving forward with what you have. And let's talk truth. Greatness is not for the lazy. It requires discomfort, commitment, and character. The process that produces greatness often feels like a problem. It's struggle that sharpens you. It's rejection that refines you. It's discipline that develops you. So don't despise the hard seasons. They are your training ground. The greatness in you can only grow if you're willing to be stretched beyond what's comfortable. Every morning you wake up, you are being given another opportunity to walk in your assignment, not to just exist, not to just make it to Friday, but to dominate, to operate with excellence, to build, to lead, to solve, to serve. That's what greatness looks like. It's not fame. It's not applause. It's obedience to purpose. It's using your gifts to add value to people's lives. It's doing what you were born to do, even when nobody's watching. Too many people think greatness is something that shows up once you have the money, the platform, the connections. But that's backward. Greatness shows up when you show up, when you lead your family with integrity, when you serve your clients like they matter, when you honor your time, your mind, and your commitments. That's greatness. It's not always glamorous, but it's always powerful. You are created with a specific design in mind. That means there is something only you can do and the way you can do it. And the world doesn't need more copies, it needs originals. It needs you. Not the you who's afraid to shine, not the you who's been diminished by doubt. The real you, the one who understands that your life has weight. Your words matter. Your decisions carry destiny. Every move you make has the power to influence someone else's outcome. Greatness demands that you wake up, rise up, and show up every single day. I am not my past. That truth alone has the power to unlock prisons, mental prisons, emotional prisons, financial prisons that people live in for years without realizing the door was never locked. Too many people are dragging yesterday into today and wondering why they can't move forward. Your past may have shaped you, but it does not define you. What happened may have left a scar, but that scar is proof of healing, not identity. You're not the version of yourself that made mistakes, believed lies, settled for less, or let fear run the show. That was a moment in time, not a permanent condition. If you keep reliving the pain of the past, you will rob yourself of the purpose in your present. People walk around like ghosts, haunted by things they can't change. They talk about their past like it's still happening, still controlling them. But the truth is, what's behind you is behind you. You don't drive a car looking in the rearview mirror the whole time, so why live your life that way? The windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror for a reason. Your focus needs to be, yes, you made some decisions you regret. Yes, you trusted people who betrayed you. Yes, you wasted time, missed opportunities, walked away from things you should have kept and held on to things you should have released. But so what? You're still here. That means purpose is still present. That means redemption is possible. That means growth is still on the table. And every day you wake up with breath in your lungs, you've got access to new choices, new actions. You've got to stop identifying with your pain. Stop claiming labels that were never yours to begin with. Just because you experience something doesn't mean you have to wear it as your name tag. You are not the failure. You are not the dropout. You are not the one who never finishes. You are not damaged goods. You are not too late. Those are lies that shame whispers to keep you stuck. And as long as you agree with them, you'll live beneath your potential. Forgiveness plays a role in this too. Not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. You won't walk in freedom until you release yourself from the guilt of who you used to be. You can't rewrite the past, but you can redeem it. You can use it as fuel, as wisdom, as testimony, but you can't live in it. Let go of the should've, could've, and would've, because they don't build anything. They just keep you circling the same mountain, wondering why your life feels stuck. Well, past might be a part of your story, but it's not the title. It's not the full book. It's a chapter, and not even the best one. The best chapters haven't even been written yet, but they only get written if you stop rereading the old ones, and that takes intentionality. You've got to train your mind to disconnect identity from history. You've got to speak to yourself differently. You've got to remind yourself that who you are becoming matters more than who you were. There will always be people who try to define you by your past. Let them talk. You don't need their permission to grow. Their opinion isn't your ceiling. They're speaking from where they left you, not where you're going. And not everyone who knew you before will recognize the version of you that's rising. That's okay. You're not here to be familiar. You're here to be transformed. Growth will cost you comfort. It will cost you old narratives. But what you gain on the other side is worth it. Every setback was just setup. Every failure was just feedback. Every detour was part of the design. Today, I choose faith over fear. Every day it brings a crossroads, and at that crossroads stand two voices. One speaks fear, the other speaks faith. Fear whispers what could go wrong, what might break, what you don't have, what you're not ready for. It gives you every reason to shrink back, to hesitate, to play small. Fear will hand you facts, and those facts might even be real, but they're not the whole truth. Faith, on the other hand, speaks possibility. It speaks purpose. It reminds you who you are and whose you are. It doesn't deny the facts. It just refuses to be limited by them. Fear will give you logic, and faith will give you vision. Logic has a place, but logic without faith is a trap. It'll keep you stuck analyzing what you've already seen instead of believing for what you haven't stepped into yet. Fear is obsessed with certainty. Faith thrives in uncertainty. It says, even if I can't see how this will work, I'm moving anyway. It's not about blind leaps. Faith isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward in spite of it. You don't need faith when everything is predictable and easy. Faith is for the storm. Faith is for the valley. Faith is for those moments when the vision is bigger than the resources, when the promise feels delayed, when the goal looks impossible. That's when you choose. That's when you say, fear, I hear you, but you don't get to drive. Faith, lead the way. Fear builds walls. Faith builds bridges. Fear isolates. Faith connects. Fear will convince you to stay in jobs you hate, relationships that drain you, routines that keep you broke. It will dress itself up as wisdom, but it's really just worry with a mask on. Faith takes risk, but it's not reckless. It's rooted. It knows something greater is guiding the process. It knows that steps taken in faith are never wasted. Even if they lead to a closed door, that closed door is still part of the journey to the right one. Fear asks, what if it doesn't work? Faith asks, what if it does? That single question can change your life. It can shift your energy, your attitude, your outcomes. It can cause you to send the email, launch the offer, take the stage, invest in the vision. And when fear tries to show up with reminders of past failures, faith counters with reminders of past victories. If you made it through before, you can do it again. The same grace, the same strength, the same favor that carried you before is available now. Faith doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It acts, it sows, even when the ground looks dry, it moves, even when the mountain looks tall, because faith knows it's not about the size of the obstacle, it's about the size of the God behind the promise. And when you carry that truth, your posture changes, your language changes. You stop speaking worst case scenarios and start declaring best case outcomes. Choose your faith is a daily discipline. It's not a one-time decision. You have to renew it every morning. You have to feed it through what you listen to, what you say, who you spend time with. Starve your fear by feeding your faith. The more you act on faith, the more it grows. Faith is like a muscle. It gets stronger under pressure. Every time you say yes to what stretches you, faith expands its reach. Your destiny doesn't wait for you to feel fearless. It waits for you to move in faith. You don't get the reward of obedience without first walking through the resistance of fear. But when you choose faith, you align yourself with purpose. You access strength you didn't know you had. You make decisions not based on what you see, but on what you believe is possible. I have the power to create wealth. That's not just an idea, it's a truth rooted in design, intention, and authority. You weren't made to be broke, bound, or begging. You were made to operate in dominion. And part of dominion is the ability to produce, to multiply, to steward resources in a way that generates abundance. Wealth isn't just about money, it's about capacity. It's about understanding that inside of you are ideas, talents, and strategies that can be developed, refined, and monetized to solve problems for other people. Money is simply a byproduct of value, and you were born with the power to create value. So many people are waiting on a breakthrough while ignoring the seed in their hand. The power to create wealth isn't external, it's internal. It's not about waiting for a raise, a loan, or someone to pick you. It's about recognizing that you are already carrying the raw materials for prosperity. The difference between struggle and success often comes down to awareness and action. Once you understand that your value doesn't come from the job you have, but from the skill and wisdom you bring to the table, you stop asking for opportunity and start creating it. Wealth creation is a mindset before it's a manifestation. If you think poor, you'll live poor, even if you get lucky and come across some money. Because wealth isn't just about accumulation, it's about multiplication. And multiplication only happens when you have the discipline, the vision, and the faith to steward what's already in front of you. The person who is faithful with little can be trusted with much. But the one who waits for much before they move will never see increase. You don't need more to start. You need to start with what you have. Creating wealth requires solving problems. Money follows value. The more people you help, the more money you make. But you don't just help people by being nice, you help them by meeting needs. That means you've got to be a student of problems. You have to learn how to spot them, understand them, and position your gift as the solution. Your gift makes room for you, but it's your strategy that sustains you. You could have $1 million talent and live a $100 life if you don't understand how to package and present it. You have to stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a producer. Consumers wait for someone else to create, producers build. Consumers trade time for money, producers trade value for money. Consumers worry about cost, producers focus on investment and return. This mindset shift is the foundation for generational wealth. Because if you only know how to earn money, but not how to manage or multiply it, you'll always be one crisis away from starting over. But when you master the power to create wealth, you take control of your outcomes. There is no shortage of money on the earth. There is only a shortage of bold people willing to tap into their God-given potential and extract wealth from within. You can't blame the economy when the economy doesn't control your creativity. You can't blame your job when jobs were never meant to be your source. They're simply one channel. You are the source, under divine guidance, empowered to produce. That means you can build something, you can launch something, you can scale something, but you've got to shift from survival to strategy, from begging to building. It starts with belief. If you don't believe you have the power to create wealth, you'll never act on it. You'll dismiss your ideas, minimize your gift, and shrink your goals. But once you believe it, your actions align. You start reading different books, asking better questions, associating with higher level thinkers. You stop trying to look rich and start building real assets. You take risks not based on hype, but based on insight and preparation. Wealth creation isn't reserved for the elite. It's available to the intentional. I serve a purpose bigger than me. Life was never meant to be lived in isolation, and success was never meant to be measured only by personal gain. There's a mission tied to your existence, and it extends beyond your comfort, your goals, or your timeline. You were placed on this earth to make impact, not just income. You were given gifts, experiences, and insights not to hoard, but to pour. When you understand that your purpose is connected to people, everything shifts. You stop waking up just to survive the day and start showing up to shift atmospheres, to solve problems, to lift others. The power of your purpose is that it transcends seasons. Even in your dry times, even in your delays, your purpose doesn't disappear. It may be hidden, but it's never gone. Purpose is what keeps you grounded when the money is tight, the doors are closed, and the progress is slow. It's what pushes you to keep going when motivation fades, because when you live for something bigger than you, quitting stops being an option. You realize that someone is waiting on the other side of your obedience. Someone's breakthrough is tied to your decision to show up. That your purpose isn't about being famous, it's about being faithful. It's about asking, what problem was I born to solve? Who am I here to serve? Because the greater the impact, the greater the fulfillment. You could have all the possessions in the world, but if your life is disconnected from purpose, you'll still feel empty. Real wealth is measured in influence and legacy. It's measured in the lives changed because you dared to live beyond yourself. You serve a purpose bigger than you, which means you don't get the luxury of playing small. Playing small is selfish when you were called to be a solution. It's not humility to shrink back from your assignment. It's disobedience. The world doesn't need another silent genius. It needs bold leaders, courageous visionaries, and servant-hearted builders who understand that their gifts were meant to be given. When you lead with service, when you use your success to elevate others, you step into the flow of true purpose. Purpose is found in problems. If you want to find your assignment, look around and ask, what breaks my heart? What makes me mad enough to move? What can I not walk past without wanting to fix it? The answer to those questions will point you to your mission, and once you find it, you've got to commit to it with your whole heart. You've got to stop waiting for permission and start walking in your authority. The people who change the world are not the ones who had the easiest path. They're the ones who had the clearest why. Every business, every ministry, every brand that truly endures is rooted in purpose. Products come and go, trends rise and fall, but purpose remains. That's why it's so critical that you build from it, not around it. When you serve something greater than yourself, you attract the resources, the people, and the opportunities needed to fulfill that mission. Purpose is magnetic. It pulls the right things into your life and pushes out the distractions. It keeps you focused when everything around you says to quit. It reminds you that your time, your talent, your treasure are tools to make a difference, not just to make a living. You don't have to have it all figured out to serve a bigger purpose. You just have to be willing to show up, to learn, to grow, to give, willing to be stretched, willing to be uncomfortable, willing to go first so others can follow. And the beauty is, when you start living for something greater than yourself, you find a level of fulfillment that nothing else can match. You're not chasing validation anymore. You're building impact. You're not trying to prove something. You're trying to produce something that lasts. Discipline is my freedom. At first, that statement sounds like a contradiction. Most people associate discipline with restriction, with rules, with being told what not to do. But that's only because they've never understood what true discipline is. Discipline isn't about confinement, it's about control. Not control over others, but control over yourself. Discipline is the key that unlocks potential, the structure that supports freedom, and the habit that builds success. Without discipline, talent is wasted, time is lost, and purpose is delayed. But when you embrace discipline, you put yourself in position to win consistently, not occasionally. Discipline is the bridge between intentions and outcomes. Everybody wants to be successful, but not everybody is willing to live the way success requires. The gap is not usually knowledge, it's consistency. You can have all the information in the world, but if you don't execute with discipline, nothing changes. Wanting change is easy. Sticking to the process that brings change is where the real work begins. That's where discipline comes in. It's waking up when the alarm goes off instead of hitting snooze. It's choosing the salad instead of the fast food when your goal is health. It's putting in the reps, doing the outreach, making the follow-up calls, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is not a personality trait. It's a decision repeated over time. You don't have to be born with it. You develop it. It's built in the moments when no one's watching. It's choosing to keep your word to yourself even when it's uncomfortable. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you reinforce your identity as someone who follows through. That repetition forms habits, and those habits become your default setting. Eventually, discipline becomes who you are, not just what you do. It becomes automatic, but only because you made the decision intentional at the start. Most people run from discipline because they think it limits their freedom, but the truth is the opposite. Lack of discipline creates chaos. Chaos with your time, your money, your health, your relationships. It makes you reactive instead of proactive. It puts you in situations where you're constantly cleaning up the consequences of poor choices. That's not freedom, that's bondage. Real freedom is being able to make choices that align with your values, your vision, and your purpose. And you only get that kind of freedom by putting structure in place first. Structure creates space. Order creates options. Discipline creates momentum. Success doesn't respond to mood, it responds to discipline. You can't build anything meaningful if your actions are always dictated by how you feel. Feelings change, motivation fades, life gets hard, but discipline shows up anyway. Discipline does what's necessary, not just what's comfortable. It respects the goal even when the goal feels far away. It understands that every small action compounds over time. One skipped workout doesn't hurt you, but 10 in a row do. One missed call won't derail your business, but a pattern of inconsistency will. Discipline pays attention to patterns. It protects the process. Discipline also breeds confidence. When you know you've put in the work, you carry yourself differently. You're not faking it. You've earned it. You walk into rooms with assurance, not arrogance, because you've been consistent behind the scenes. You're not hoping for success. You've built the habits that make success predictable. That kind of confidence can't be borrowed. It comes from discipline. And the beautiful part is, the more you practice discipline, the easier it gets. It becomes a rhythm, a standard, a way of life. Discipline allows you to live on purpose, not by default. It gives you the ability to delay gratification so you can experience something greater later. It makes you dependable, not just to others, but to yourself. It sharpens your focus, increases your efficiency, and maximizes your energy. Where there is discipline, there is direction. Where there is direction, there is growth. Where there is growth, there is transformation. I don't chase money. I attract it by becoming more valuable. This principle shifts everything because most people are running in circles chasing money like it's some elusive prize to catch. They go from job to job, deal to deal, opportunity to opportunity, hoping to finally hit the jackpot. But money doesn't follow people who chase. It follows people who create. It flows to value. It seeks out solutions. When you become the person who solves bigger problems, delivers better results, and shows up with excellence, you become a magnet for money instead of a beggar for it. Chasing money puts you in survival mode. It makes you reactive. It leads to desperation. You start making short-term decisions based on what looks urgent instead of what's truly important. You take on clients you shouldn't, accept prices that are too low, and trade your time for scraps instead of building something sustainable. Chasing money is exhausting because it places your power in someone else's hands. It's built on the belief that you have to pursue what already belongs to you if you develop the right mindset and skill set. Attracting money, on the other hand, is rooted in confidence and clarity. It comes from understanding that the marketplace rewards value, not hustle, not hours, not effort alone, but value. The more value you create, the more income you generate. But value doesn't happen by accident. You have to build it. That means investing in your mind, sharpening your skills, increasing your awareness, learning how to communicate, how to lead, how to innovate. When you grow, your ability to serve grows. And when you serve better, you earn better. Becoming valuable isn't about being the best at everything. It's about being excellent at something specific. It's about positioning yourself in a way that solves a real need for real people. Most people are generalists, but specialists get paid more. Specialists are seen as authorities. They don't have to compete on price because their presence solves a problem that people are willing to pay a premium for. If you want to attract money, you've got to become a person of specialized value. You've got to find your lane and dominate it. This isn't just about skills, it's about mindset. Money is a tool, not a god. It's a servant, not a master. When you're chasing it, it controls your decisions. But when you attract it, you control your decisions. You're not scrambling to make ends meet. You're building systems, creating assets, and structuring your life around your calling. Attracting money requires strategy. It requires thinking like an investor, not a spender. It requires looking at your time, energy, and ideas as capital that you can grow. People want abundance without alignment. But the flow of money follows purpose. When you align your work with your gift and your gift with service, you tap into a stream that doesn't dry up. You stop waiting for luck and start creating leverage. Leverage comes from value, comes from understanding how to scale what you know, what you've mastered, and what you can teach. It's about creating systems that work while you sleep, multiplying your impact without multiplying your hours. When you attract money, you don't beg for raises, you create opportunities. You don't settle for what's offered, you negotiate based on what you bring to the table. You don't compete in crowded spaces, you rise above them by owning your uniqueness, and that uniqueness becomes your currency. It becomes your offer, your voice, your lane. The world pays attention to people who solve problems, deliver transformation, and show up with integrity. When you become that person, you don't have to chase anything. You become the one who sets the terms, makes the calls, and moves with purpose. I am not afraid of challenges. I welcome them. Challenges are the crucible in which greatness is forged. Without challenges, there is no growth. Without obstacles, there is no transformation. It's easy to talk about success when everything is smooth, when the path is clear and the sun is shining. But it's when the road gets rough, when the storm hits, and when the obstacles seem insurmountable that the real character is revealed. This is when the magic happens. This is when we discover what we're truly made of. Challenges are not a sign that something is wrong. They are a sign that something is right. Every breakthrough comes with a battle. Every vision comes with a test. And every success story has a chapter filled with trials. If you want to grow, you must embrace the discomfort that comes with pushing past your limits. The truth is, you cannot grow in comfort. Growth happens in the tension. It happens when you push yourself to do things you've never done, when you go places you've never been, and when you overcome things you've never faced. This is the path to personal expansion. This is where you become someone new. When a challenge presents itself, most people try to avoid it, minimize it, or get around it. But the person who is willing to face that challenge head on with courage and determination is the person who will come out victorious. The world belongs to the ones who are willing to step into the arena knowing they might fail, but choosing to rise anyway. Fear may knock at the door, but courage answers. Challenges don't have to paralyze you. They can propel you forward if you shift your mindset. Instead of seeing challenges as problems, start seeing them as opportunities for growth. Every challenge is a stepping stone to your next level. This is the mentality that separates the average from the extraordinary. The average person sees a roadblock and backs down. The extraordinary person sees that same roadblock as a hurdle to leap over, a wall to climb, a lesson to learn. It's in overcoming the challenge that we gain the wisdom, the skills, and the experience needed for the next stage of our journey. Challenges provide us with the opportunity to discover our true potential, to go beyond what we thought was possible, and to redefine what we're capable of. You can't control the challenges that come your way, but you can control how you respond to them. It's your response that determines your outcome. Do you respond with fear, hesitation, and doubt? Or do you respond with faith, resilience, and determination? It's in your response that you show who you really are. The person who chooses faith over fear, persistence over doubt, and courage over hesitation is the one who will succeed. And the beauty of challenges is that they don't last forever. They are temporary. But the growth you experience because of them is permanent. The strength you build in the midst of adversity will carry you for the rest of your life. Challenges force us to develop new strategies. They push us to be creative, to think outside the box, to find new solutions. They require us to be resourceful, to tap into reserves of strength we didn't even know we had. And they stretch us. They take us out of our comfort zones and into our zones of excellence. When you step outside your comfort zone, you experience new levels of thinking, new levels of productivity, and new levels of courage. The challenge is not there to break you, it's there to build you. When you welcome challenges instead of running from them, you develop the resilience necessary to navigate life's ups and downs. Challenges become less daunting the more you face them. What once seemed insurmountable becomes a puzzle to solve, a mountain to climb, and an opportunity to learn. Challenges are not here to destroy you. They are here to refine you. They are not obstacles. They are opportunities for you to rise. The greater the challenge, the greater the opportunity for growth. And when you embrace the challenges, you will realize that they were never meant to stop you. They were meant to help you become the person you were always meant to be. I am the architect of my life. Every day I have the opportunity to design my future, to lay the foundation of the life I want to live, and to construct the path that leads to my goals. The reality is that life doesn't just happen to you. It responds to the choices you make, the actions you take, and the mindset you hold. If you want to build something great, you must approach your life as if you are the one in charge of the blueprint. The life you live today is the result of the choices you made yesterday, and the life you will live tomorrow is being shaped by the decisions you make today. When you take full responsibility for your life, you stop blaming circumstances, other people, or external forces for your situation. You recognize that you have the power to change the trajectory of your life at any moment through the choices you make. Life doesn't happen by chance, it's created by design. When you become the architect, you realize that you don't have to wait for the perfect circumstances, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect moment. You create those circumstances. You can decide to start now with what you have where you are. The architecture of your life begins with your vision. If you don't know where you're going, how can you expect to get there? Your vision is your blueprint. It's the map that guides you, that directs your energy, and that fuels your motivation. But vision alone is not enough. You must back up your vision with strategy, with discipline, and with action. An architect doesn't just dream about a beautiful building. They draw plans, measure spaces, and make sure the foundation is strong. Similarly, you must build a strong foundation for your future by creating clear goals, developing strategies, and consistently putting in the effort. Being the architect of your life means taking control of your time and your energy. You don't let distractions dictate your day. You design your schedule around your priorities and make sure that every action you take brings you closer to your vision. Time is your most valuable resource, and when you are the architect, you spend it intentionally. You stop reacting to life's demands and start proactively designing the day-to-day steps that align with your bigger vision. It's about being intentional with every moment because you know that small, deliberate actions compound over time and lead to big results. Another crucial part of being the architect of your life is embracing flexibility. While you must have a clear vision and a solid plan, you also need to be adaptable. Sometimes the path won't be as smooth as you expected, and challenges will arise that you didn't foresee. When this happens, you don't abandon the project, you adjust. An architect doesn't give up on a building just because there's an obstacle in the way. They find a solution. They work with what they have. Similarly, you must be able to pivot, to find new solutions when obstacles appear. You are the creator of your life, and that means you have the ability to shape it even when things don't go according to plan. The power of being the architect of your life also lies in your mindset. You see every challenge, every setback, and every failure as an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve your design. Architects don't expect their buildings to be perfect on the first try. They know that every project involves revisions, adjustments, and continuous improvement. Likewise, when things don't go as planned, you don't quit or get discouraged. You refine your approach, learn from your mistakes, and use them to build a stronger foundation for your future. As the architect of your life, you also take responsibility for your environment. You choose the people you surround yourself with, the places you go, and the influences you allow into your life. You design your life with purpose, and that includes your relationships, your habits, and your mental environment. You understand that who you are becoming is influenced by what you allow into your life. Just as an architect carefully selects materials for a building, you carefully select the influences that shape your mind and spirit. In the end, being the architect of your life means owning your story. You write the chapters, you decide the direction, and you design the journey. Your life is a reflection of the choices you make every day, and the more conscious and intentional those choices are, the more powerful the life you will build. The blueprint is in your hands, and it's up to you to create the life you've always imagined. I am not afraid to fail. Failure is not the end, but the beginning of something greater. It's easy to see failure as a negative experience, something to be avoided at all costs. But in reality, failure is an essential part of success. It's through failure that we learn, grow, and develop resilience. Without failure, there can be no true progress. Success is built on a foundation of mistakes, missteps, and setbacks. It's in the moments when we fall short that we discover our greatest strengths and uncover the lessons that move us forward. Failure is a teacher, not a curse. It reveals what doesn't work, which is just as valuable as knowing what does. Each failure presents an opportunity to reflect, adjust, and recalibrate. When we fail, we are given the chance to reassess our approach, refine our strategies, and come back stronger. The fear of failure often comes from a place of misunderstanding. People tend to see failure as a final destination, a mark of incompetence. But failure is simply feedback. It's not the result that matters. It's what you do with that result. When you fail and get back up, you gain experience that no success can ever teach you. Failure pushes you to innovate. When something doesn't work out as planned, your mind begins to think in different ways. It forces you to become creative, to explore new ideas, and to try alternative solutions. If success were guaranteed every time, you wouldn't push yourself to stretch beyond your comfort zone. It's in the process of failing and rising again that you unlock your true potential. Every failure is a lesson that helps you uncover a better version of yourself. The people who are truly successful are not those who never fail, but those who continue to fail and refuse to quit. They learn from their failures, use them to fuel their growth, and turn them into stepping stones toward their ultimate goal. Failing doesn't make you a failure. It simply means that you are willing to try, to take risks, and to step outside of your comfort zone. The most successful people in the world have failed more times than they can count. They failed their way to success because they didn't allow the setback to define them. Instead, they used it as a springboard to achieve something greater. The key to success is not the avoidance of failure, but the courage to fail and keep moving forward. When you embrace failure, you stop letting it control your decisions. You no longer fear it because you understand its value. Failure no longer holds you back, but propels you forward. You stop hesitating to take risks, knowing that each one brings you closer to success, even if it doesn't look like it at first. You stop measuring your self-worth by your failures and start measuring it by your resilience, by your ability to get back up, learn, and keep going. The fear of failure often holds people back from ever taking the first step. They're afraid to fail, so they never try. They wait for the perfect conditions, the ideal circumstances, and the perfect timing. But the truth is, there's no such thing as perfect. The perfect time is now. If you wait for all the stars to align, you'll never move forward. Action leads to results, and results lead to learning. Even if you fail, you've moved one step closer to success because you've learned something new. Every failure is simply part of the process that leads to success. Failing forward is the mindset that separates the achievers from the dreamers. When you fail, instead of dwelling on the mistake, you analyze what went wrong and apply the lesson to your next attempt. This is how success is built. It's not built on the avoidance of failure, but on the willingness to fail and the persistence to keep going. The most successful people are not those who never fail, but those who fail and keep moving forward, knowing that each failure is a valuable lesson on the road to success. So instead of fearing failure, start embracing it. See it for what it truly is. A stepping stone, a valuable teacher, and a sign that you are moving in the right direction. The more you fail, the more you learn, and the closer you get to achieving your goals. Every failure is a chance to improve, to evolve, and to get one step closer to the success you desire.